Everyone for just taking the time to exercise your commitment, right? So often we are in a space where people are talking, but they're not walking. So I'm really honored to be here today to walk in this walk of service of just getting better. And really, as you said earlier, bringing all these different tools together to help our athletes as well as those who lead them. So once again, my name is Coach D. Williams, and I am here to talk about mental hygiene. So in performance, right? Performance, it can take on many different forms: joy, excitement, intensity, vulnerability, right? And our mission at Get Fit Fly Right is to help our athletes always find peace, always be able to perform at their best because they're able to navigate anything that is in their pathway. And so with that, I am here today because I want to explain and share mental hygiene, right? Like we understand the words, right? Mental, mind, hygiene, clean. But when we put those words together, what does that mean? So in 2015, I created the Athlete Project. And it started to help myself. I wanted to find a way to kind of navigate a lot of the different emotions that I was going through as a young adult, as a young coach. At that time, I was also teaching. I was a dean in a high school. And so as you would imagine, performance, as I said earlier, takes on many forms. And so we are constantly performing, be it on the court, on the field, or in our daily lives as teachers, as parents, as siblings, as spouses. And so I needed it for myself. There were different challenges that I was navigating emotionally, and I wanted to create a system to help me navigate it more positively. I had a very push through mentality. Oh, I'm good was one of my favorite lines. And I recognized not only in myself, but also in my athletes that there were a lot of emotions going unresolved. There were a lot of situations, a lot of self-talk that wasn't being processed and that wasn't being channeled in ways that were necessarily conducive to the outcomes that we wanted. How many of us have met an athlete who has said something and you're like, but wait, if you think that way, how do you get to the goal that you want, right? If you're beating yourself up about 2 games ago, how can you win the championship that's in front of you, right? But so many of us do that in ways that are just not indicative of sports, right? When we worry, right, about a loved one or a parent, we go into extra hypervigilance, right? And now we are distressed. We are moving and we are running and we're creating a momentum that is also not healthy for us or conducive to the goal that we're actually seeking. And so that's what mental hygiene was created to quail for myself. I used at its foundation a breathing meditation from my mother, my late mother. She would always tell me as a child, Neek, just breathe. And so I used that. I was like, I need to breathe in this moment before I lose it. As a coach, I've had a lot of intense moments at the end of games, and I was noticing that my players were watching me. They were watching the way that I was responding to my anger, to my frustration, to my nuisances, and I wanted to be better not only for them but for myself. So with that being said, I want to go into what mental hygiene is. Get Fit Fly Right is an education company where we consult with sport-based youth development organizations, but also community-based organizations because we know that emotional intelligence isn't just for athletes, but it's for everyone. And with that, we were able to not only create courses, but expand this idea of how do we practice mental hygiene. We practice mental hygiene with a breathing meditation called 533. I like to say to my athletes, mental toughness is not mental health. And for a lot of them, they didn't understand that. They were like, what do you mean? In order for me to be confident, I got to be tough, coach. Yes, being confident and being tough definitely are necessary to be a champion. But what's also necessary is being honest, being vulnerable, being able to love yourself when you don't like yourself, being able to look in the mirror and be honest about what you see, being able to understand what it is that you don't like. And the way that we were able to do that is with this breathing meditation. It gave us a moment to pause, to reset, to reflect, and now restore. So often athletes are in a fast-paced world, be it with school, practice, games, and everything is physical. And so 533 gives us 4 minutes to do something mental where it doesn't require a beautiful scene. It doesn't require anything but the intention to just breathe. And so, with that being said, I would like to talk about mental hygiene and what its pillars and its foundations are from a structural standpoint. At Get Fit Fly Right, as I said, we were able to create this course. And so with my athletes very early on, I did 533 for myself and I shared it with them. But I said, I want to take this idea of mental hygiene, this idea of cleaning my mind, cleaning out the energy, the thought, the emotions that I may not necessarily be dealing with, and be able to look at it in a way that allows me to say, what am I feeling? What have I been doing about it? And what do I want to do? And with that, we have these three pillars: awareness of our emotional, spiritual, energetic, and social well being, a development of this practice to clean our minds, and finally, normalization of that practice. And when I thought about that, the way that I then moved to explain mental hygiene is dental hygiene. How many of us brushed their teeth this morning? If you brushed your teeth, just raise your hand. Everybody smiling like I did, right? We gargled, we flossed, and we have this system, this routine. We only use certain types of brushes, certain types of toothpaste, certain types of floss. How many of us did that for our brain? Took the time, the intention, the attention to be accountable and acknowledge, okay, what's going on in here, in here. And that's what TAP is for athletes. That's what it is for coaches. It's this system, this method that they know they can go and clean their brain. And so with that in a sports setting, right? What does TAP do in a sports setting? Well, it builds confidence and confidence to navigate these emotions without judgment. So many of our emotions go unresolved, unchecked, and even sometimes we're unaware of them because we are not confident enough to be honest with ourselves or competent enough once we're met with those troubles or those hindrances to know what to do thereafter. And so it also develops a tool, right? If every day our teams, and what I was able to do when I was at Columbia Grammar Prep was every day in practice, we did our 533. We breathed 4 minutes. That's all it took. Was for our athletes to be aware of themselves, be aware of their energy, be aware of where they're at emotionally, so they can say, okay, coach, this is what I need. Teammates, hey, this is how I need you to help me be accountable. And we do this and we cultivate this, most importantly, this normal practice, right? And so now we're not othering mental well-being. We're not saying we're sick. We're not claiming any type of dis-ease that now puts us in a space where we are now unable to perform at our highest. And that's what we want for our athletes. We want our athletes to have fun. We want them to go out and be able to persevere through any challenge, be it physical, be it sport related, and most importantly, be it mental. And so those are the three things that we are able to kind of cultivate in these sports settings. Once again, building the confidence and competence to navigate emotions, develop tools and positive responses to stress, and most importantly, normalize this practice of just cleaning our minds. And with the Athlete Project, we do that with 533. I want to move on to something that I think is super normal in our language that we get to change, not as coaches or teachers or parents, but as human beings. And it's in my title, and I left it because I love when I bring this up. And it's the word coping. At Get Fit Fly Right, we want to encourage our athletes not to cope, but to connect. And we want them to connect not only with their emotions or with what they're feeling and what they're going through, but with themselves on a deeper level. And that deeper level is honesty, vulnerability, accountability, being able to say to yourself, I don't like myself right now, and this is what I'm going to do about it. Being able to say that to others in difficult times, being able to say to teammates, hey, I noticed you're going through something. How can I be of support to you? Or be able to say, hey, I'm going through something, and this is how you can be a support to me. When we cultivate spaces within player development that incorporate the mind, that incorporate and integrate mental well-being, emotional well-being, spiritual well-being, when we have it in our language, it gives our athletes safe space. It gives our athletes the confidence to go to their coach and say, hey, coach, I'm good on the court, but this is what's going on at home. And this is what we want. We want our athletes to seek help. And at the very um, I would say, preface of what we do at Get Fit Fly Right. It's to get our athletes, to get our coaches to seek help. When someone is committed to their well-being, they are going to do what is necessary. And we want those necessary actions that we know our athletes going to take to be positive. Right? We are competing with social media, we're competing with technology, and we want our athletes to be able to have the real conversations, to be open and honest with not only us, but also most importantly, themselves. And so I'm going to move on as we discuss the athlete project, and at the helm and foundation of that project is 533. It is a breathing meditation. I'd like to go into what that is, right? Mindfulness, when we see it, we often think yoga or a quiet, peaceful place in Zen and mudras, right? But what we want to recognize is that mindfulness is an exercise that we can take anywhere. And it's best practiced when we're able to do it anywhere. And every time we need a moment. One of my favorite pictures and favorite moments is when LeBron in I think it was the 2016, if my memory serves me correctly, finals, he was seen on the bench just breathing. He closed his eyes in the middle of a game, championship game. He was sitting on the bench, just breathing with his eyes closed. And I think he took maybe 15 seconds to do it, right? We want to normalize this practice of cleaning our mind. And so when we think of mental hygiene, when we think of restoration, when we think of emotional dexterity, it's about building capacity, right? So we have to put these things into practice. We can positive reinforce our athletes to death, but if we don't teach them tangible tools, preventable skills, and techniques, they will always revert to the things that they received, be it attention, affection, or positive affirmation. And there are moments where those things are not always available or they don't have access to them. We want our athletes to be able to dig into their own inner resources, develop those inner resources, and be able to use them at will. 533 breathing meditation is a breathing meditation for awareness of the mind and body, that connection, tension release, to release tension in the body and the mind, and most importantly, to create a sense of presence. We want to bring our athletes down. And when I say down, I don't mean down in the dumps. No, I mean to the ground. One of my favorite quotes from Kobe Bryant was, I like to keep my mind where my feet are. And so when we breathe, when we take a moment to get oxygen in our bodies, into our brains, we're put in a position where we can breathe, we can get present, we can think better, we can move better, and we can respond better to whatever is in front of us. 533 is that breathing meditation. It consists of 5 deep breaths, 3 fast breaths, which emulate fire breathing, if anyone is into yoga and martial arts. And then the last breath is loud breathing, where we sort of breathe out, exhale, and make a sound. That allows the body to release tension and get present, and also clean out the clutter, right? The self-talk, the experiences, the instances, right? Particularly in a game, I've had athletes practice 533. I've subbed them out and say, yo, go at the end of the bench and go breathe. And in those moments, they hype. Coach, let me go back out. But they get to get their mind where their feet are. And so we want to be able to create those moments and those situations for our athletes to be able to see the chaos and be able to cultivate their own peace. To clean the mind, right, we must be aware of the clutter in it. And so again, TAP is that preventable practice that uses mindfulness to support that well-being, that awareness, that development, and that normalization. And our work as leaders is to guide our athletes on and off the court or field. And so TAP is flexible in that way, right? As I said earlier, it is a system that can be done individually, in private, or in community. It's also a method that allows for safe accountability, right? Us as human beings, when we acknowledge something, we categorize it, we name it, and we take an action to either quell it, fix it, or resolve it. And so 533 gives us that opportunity to acknowledge our emotions without the need to fix it right away. And most importantly, it cultivates that open and safe conversation with ourselves and with others, whether we need to seek help, whether we are we are in a space of just, I need to release, I need to receive, whatever it is, we're constantly being trained with the 533 breathing meditation and other mindfulness exercises within the method to now be able to say that confidently, to be able to say that with confidence, understanding what we need. Sometimes our athletes don't speak just simply because they do not know what they need. And so if, as I said earlier, if we brush our teeth, right, why not brush our brain? And how do we teach our athletes to brush our brain? Mental hygiene allows our athletes to do just that. It allows our athletes and our coaches alike, again, to develop those inner resources to build awareness and tools to navigate emotional and mental challenges. And what is central to the Athlete Project, in closing, as I said earlier, is the 533 breathing meditation. And before I go, I would love if you all could join me in a 533 breathing meditation. I would love for everyone to take this opportunity as we embark on this journey and in this summit, right? We're all here to not only support our athletes, but support our coaches and the communities that they serve and that they're a part of, right? We also need the healing. We also need the moment to bring our mind where our feet are. So that way we can go out and continue to serve at the highest capacity and perform our best. And so the only thing that I ask in order for us to do 533 is that you have your feet firmly planted on the ground. You're invited to stand if you like, but if you are seated, just make sure that your back is straight, your feet are planted firmly on the ground. The next thing that I'll ask is that you release your jaw. Sometimes we keep our tongue on on the roof of our mouth. So release your jaw. I like to smile. Smiling is always a great way to relax the face, release the tension in the neck and shoulders. The next thing that I'll ask is that you have your arms and your hands laid out on your lap, palms up, releasing the tension in your shoulders and your back, allowing to give and receive to the space. I sat up straight and my head just got completely cut off. Goes to show how much we slouch, right? And then the next thing that I ask is that you just take two calming breaths at your own pace. And as you take those calming breaths, allow your eyes to just relax and fall. If you like to keep your eyes open, that is completely fine. Just find one focal point directly in front of you and stare at it. 533 is a breathing meditation that allows you to release energy, to give and receive to the space that you're in. 5 deep breaths, 3 fast and 3 loud. We're going to begin with 5 deep breaths. Go at your own pace. Inhaling in through the nose, exhaling softly through the mouth. Again. Two more deep breaths. Last deep breath. Allow the body to move, taking in a lot of air. exhaling softly. We're going to move on to fast. I want you to pull the air in, and this is a fast fire breath. So imagine yourself performing whatever your performance is, be it on the court, be it in the office, be it running around with your children or family. Pulling the air in, pinching the nose, and pushing the air out like a cough. When you are ready, pull the air in like so. Great job. Push it out really fast. Two more times. Yes, great job. One more time. Engage that core. And now we move on to loud. Pull it in. Now release the jaw and let a loud noise come out. Yes, be vulnerable enough. Two more times. Pull the air in. Release the jaw. Will let whatever sound you like come out. Always like to shake when I do my loud breathing. And so that is 533. You release with any movement. If you want to move the body, calm breaths to bring the body back down. And so again, 533 is a breathing meditation that allows you to get right back in the game. It wakes you up. And the goal of 533 again is to get present, is to one, center the mind and the body. Two, connect the mind and the body to get your mind where your feet are. And last but not least, release the tension, release the thoughts, right? Get present so we can now move forward in whatever is in front of us. The Athlete Project, TAP, is a method for preventing mental distress. I must disclaim that the Athlete Project is not a medical solution. And so if you are having an anxiety attack, a panic attack, if you feel that you need medical attention, please seek out professional help. Our goal at Get Fit Fly Right today and any day and any time that we are able to share the Athlete Project and the 533 breathing meditation is to share the goodness of preventable care, right? As athletes, as caregivers, our goal is to make sure that we are in a position where we can grow and we can maximize performance. In order to do that, we must practice, right? We must practice our ball handling, right? We must practice our skills, right? So we also get to practice cleaning our mind. We get to practice restoring ourselves. We get to practice getting present. The Athlete Project, step one, getting still, which is what we just practiced. Taking a moment took 4 minutes to get still. We started at 10:31, right? Affirming ourselves. Step two, what do we want in ourselves, from ourselves, and from others? Step three, which is what we just did, 533, or taking a moment to just breathe. And last but most certainly not least, is committing to our affirmation. If we affirm today, today is going to be a great summit. I'm going to go in today and I'm going to learn a lot. For me, I came in today wanting to share something with you that can be impactful and immediately implemented in whatever it is that you're doing. Affirm that, believe that. And as we go throughout our day, as we go throughout this summit, I want you to carry that with you, that fast breathing of getting the body ready, that deep breathing of getting the body centered, and that loud breathing of releasing tension. So now we are aware of what we feel, what we want, and most importantly, what we need. Once again, my name is Coach D. Williams. I support athletes as the mental hygienist clean their minds so they can maximize their performance. Once again, thank you to the Youth Summit. It has been amazing. I'd love to connect with all of you. Please connect with me at Get Fit Fly Right online, www.getfitflyright.com. We're on LinkedIn, all of social media. That includes Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Get Fit Fly Right. And really look forward to connecting with all of you and supporting you and your athletes clean your mind. Thank you.